Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim-Nakrin. Taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following right now, a deputy shot in the head is still in the ICU at this hour. Carroll County Sheriff's Office saying that they're hoping to release more information following the shooting that critically hurt one of their own. Deputy Taylor Bristow, again, at Grady Memorial Hospital in the intensive care unit. His family too distraught to speak more about it at the moment. But the Carroll County Public Information Officer shared that the family is planning to issue a statement at some point. The GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, is leading this case. And one key piece of information that they're waiting on is the autopsy results of the suspect. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is with the First Alert Breaking News tracker outside Grady Memorial Hospital. And Deputy Bristow's family and his law enforcement colleagues undoubtedly by his side.
Right now, Deputy Taylor Bristow is in the intensive care unit some 24 hours after being airlifted to Grady Memorial Hospital.
We just know he's in very serious condition.
Family telling us that he's listed in critical condition following emergency surgery. Bristow, an investigator who's been with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office for 6 years, was shot in the head while helping agents with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation serve a warrant to a man living in this home along Don Rich Drive in Carrollton.
All I saw was 30 police cars speeding down the road, but I didn't know what had happened.
We have a suspect that is dead in the home.
Authorities have yet to say how the suspect was killed or reveal his identity, but they say that the warrant Deputy Bristow was serving was related to a child exploitation case that the GBI had been actively investigating.
Of course, we're going to keep following the latest with this story. Also happening in Fulton County, the fight over your property taxes. County commissioners back at the drawing board again. They're trying to pass a millage rate proposal. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm tells us the commission failed to approve the millage rate just a few weeks ago.
And the motion passes 4 yeas, 3 nays.
After more tense discussions, this time with Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. joining the meeting virtually, Fulton County commissioners narrowly approved a millage rate of 8.87%. The 3 who voted no wanted a slightly lower rate of 8.80. Commissioner Bob Ellis pointing out that the county will have an unexpected interest gain through federal COVID funds that would go toward the general fund, helping to make a partial millage rate rollback possible. Commissioner Bridget Thorne slammed Arrington for being part of the county's budget problem.
We have this expenditures, a commissioner at the film festival, 8 days, having fun while we were trying to pass this millage rate.
Arrington fired back, saying Fulton Film was his vision and that filmmaking helps the county.
Well, if you have something to say to me, say it to my face.
And of course, we're going to keep following the latest there. Also, want to let you know, the state election board has approved some changes. We're 2.5 months away from election day now. Senator Raphael Warnock says new rules are now in place to make sure that voters are properly, or I should say votes are properly counted in Georgia. The state election board approved changes on Monday, and they require election officials to generate lists of voters organized by voting method and also examine them for duplicates. Senator Warnock addressed concerns about the changes at the Democratic convention last night.
Here's what we've got to do. We've got to win this election. We've got to maintain our majority in the Senate. We've got to flip the House, send Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. And when we do that, we've got to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. What the Supreme Court did in 2013 was a real knockout punch, certainly undermined much of the strength of the Voting Rights Act. The reason why you can see some of these games that we play because they don't have to go through something called pre-clearance. So we've got to renew the Voting Rights Act, and that's something I'll be very focused on.
Jason Carter says his grandfather cannot wait to vote.
And Senator Warnock says renewing the Voting Rights Act will be something that he is focused on. And Jimmy Carter's grandson also spoke at the Democratic National Convention. Of course, Jason Carter, a politician in his own right, spent 5 years in the Georgia Senate. And He says that his grandfather, Jimmy Carter, is planning to vote for Kamala Harris and is asking for support. Asia Wilson has more.
Jason Carter says his grandfather cannot wait to vote for Kamala Harris, adding that she has some of the same qualities as the former president. Jason, who served in Georgia Senate from 2010 to 2015, spoke about his grandfather's time in the White House and post-presidency. Last night's speech at the DNC comes as former President Carter is currently in hospice care here in Georgia at 99 years old. He is the only living president not at the Democratic National Convention this week. President Carter last appeared in public in November of last year at the funeral of his wife. Meanwhile, Jason told the crowd his grandfather wishes he could be in attendance, but says his support is behind Harris.
Papa's holding on. He's hopeful. And though his body may be weak tonight, his spirit is as strong as ever. My grandfather can't wait to vote for Kamala Harris. She reminds us all that the promise of America remains unchanged. We are one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And my grandfather knows that with her as our next president, we will keep that promise.
And certainly all eyes will continue to be on Chicago this week. Vice President Harris is expected to take the stage Thursday. From the Carter Center, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
And turning now to reviews online. We know there are millions of fake reviews online, and now the Federal Trade Commission is taking steps to stop them. This week, it announced a final decision to fine violators and deter AI-generated reviews. Better Call Harry has more.
Yay for the decision. The FTC has been working on this for 2 years. But as a consumer reporter, I am skeptical, and I'm not alone. So we talked to a former federal investigator who spent years exposing fake reviews.
I'm here to tell you the online review world is the Wild West.
Kay Dean's YouTube channel, Fake Review Watch, is an eye-opener that exposes how easy it is to find fake reviews on third-party review platforms like Google, Yelp, and Facebook. Sites that say they have algorithms to detect fake reviews, but come on, fake reviews get through no matter what.
They do a terrible job at self-policing, and consumers and honest businesses are being harmed, and it's completely distorting the marketplace.
Dean welcomes the Federal Trade Commission's new rule that strengthens its ability to punish offenders. In its 163-page decision, it bans businesses from fake or false consumer and celebrity testimonials, buying positive or negative reviews, using company insiders to write reviews, and using legal threats or intimidation to remove reviews. The fines could be tens of thousands of dollars, but Dean says there's one huge exemption. The rule does not apply to third-party review platforms. Yup. Google, Yelp, Facebook, TripAdvisor, and others get a pass, and here's why.
The FTC's hands are tied or handcuffed with this because the tech companies get a pass because of outdated legislation. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act states that they cannot be held liable for user-generated content, such as fake reviews.
That is a huge exemption. Dean gave a great analogy on this. It's like going after small-time drug dealers versus going after the cartels. I always tell people to look for a pattern of negative reviews, but even she says a lot of those are fake too. I'm Better Call Harry, Atlanta News First.
And more on all these stories and more on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. You can also get updates by downloading our free mobile news app. Thanks for joining us.